In this video, I will be talking about management, but also the management at a company named Google. So I will be covering chapters of the textbook that we are using in the course, and I'm going to link it to Google of what they're actually doing with that. So the video will cover a description of what is Google. I'm going to introduce you a bit of again on Google and on what are the chapters of management that we'll cover. Will be chapter 1 and 3, and then we'll conclude about that. So for a brief description of Google, well, obviously, as already everyone knows, Google is an American multinational technology company that is more specialized in internet-related services and products. So everyone know Google for being the search engine on internet. It's the search engine that almost everyone, if not everyone, use on a daily basis. You're going to use it for professional, school, or even personal purposes. So Google is a very wide company, having a net worth of almost 101.8 billion, and Alphabet, which is the global entity that is above Google, is worth around 600 billion of dollars. So, as an executive summary, morely, we're going to be talking about chapter 1 and chapter 3 of the textbook that we're using for the sake of the management course. So chapter 1 will be covering more about what is the functions of management and what are the manager's role, and we're going to cover ethics and social responsibility. Again, they will all be related to Google. So Google, with almost 74,000 employees, they need to have an efficient and effective management of people. Management, as we all know, is getting work done through others, and they have to be efficient. They have to get their work done with minimum effort, time, and waste. They have to focus really on what the task on the task that needs to be done. And with that, well, Google focuses more on interpersonal functions of managers. They also have established a code of conduct, or a code of ethics, should I say, for good and right behavior in the workplace, and they are also very socially oriented. We're going to cover that in more depth later on in the video. So to start with, the first part of it will be the chapter 1, management, its functions, and the manager's role. So, as we all know, the 4 functions of management are planning, leading, organizing, and controlling. Briefly, planning is determining the goals and the means to achieve them. Leading is simply inspiring and motivating employees to achieve the goal. Organizing is deciding who will do what and work for whom. And controlling is just track the progress and correct the defects or just things that's not working properly. So for Google, they are more focused on leading. Yes, they will plan. Yes, they will organize. Yes, they will control. But they're more focused on leading because they want their employees to work hard, to achieve the goals that they're going to set. They set either monthly, quarterly, or yearly goals. So they want their employees to work hard towards it. So that's on what they will focus more for their managers. Also, they want their managers to rely more on positive reinforcement, having good interpersonal relationships, and they will rely also on a friendly work environment. As we all know, Google is one of the most, if not the most, fun company to work for, with all the great layout, the great atmosphere at work, the great equipment, all the activities, benefits that they have. So that's one of the way that they rely on a friendly workplace. But the other way is just relationships between employees and the relationships between managers. As for the other 3 functions, well, Google will plan their own goals within the Google company to achieve for the next quarter, semester, year. We also have Alphabet that will determine their goals for themselves, but it goes also for Google. They will then organize which department, which employees will work for what project, and then they will just track if it's doing okay, and if it's not, they will correct that. Also, the roles of managers, well, the role, like I said, is more interpersonal. So they will focus on leading and managing and motivating the employees. So for that, Google are looking for 8 specific qualities that are required for Google managers. It's okay if you don't have all of them, if you don't have all 8, but if you have some, then it's perfect for you, and you mostly have to have them for being managers elsewhere, but more especially in Google. So if we look right there at Google, you have to be good coaches, so motivate and inspire your employees. You have to empower the team. You have to be product and results oriented, obviously, to help the companies grow. But look at point 6. It's helping employees with career development. So they want to help, yes, they want to help employees work efficiently and meet the objectives, but they also want their employees to develop their career, to develop their personalities, to develop themselves as workers, but also as humans. So that's what makes the Google's management very efficient, very effective, and very probably fun to work for, and being work by managers at Google should be very pleasant, because they really rely on your development of yourselves or your capacities, but of your person that you are. So the second part of the video, like I mentioned before, the executive summary, I'll be covering a code of conduct, or code of ethics should I say, and the social responsibility of Google. So to start with, the code of ethics or code of conduct is just to set the standards of the behavior that is accepted at work, norms of behavior, of activities, of actions that are right and wrong, that are doable or not doable, acceptable or not acceptable to do. Because as we say, there's types of workplace deviance, behavior deviance, so Google will want to avoid that as much as possible. So in their code of conduct, as they called, you have a lot of points. I've just decided to take 4 of them to put on that PowerPoint to explain in the video itself, but there's a lot more into the code itself. So if we look at the first point, which is integrity. Well, the reputation of a company is its best asset, as you all know. Everyone knows Google, everyone knows that they're efficient, effective, and they're doing well. So the employees has to make sure that the reputation is kept. And that's more for the company-wide point of view or perspective. You also have the privacy, security, and freedom of expression. So Google has a lot of information about their customers' personal information. So it is required for employees to preserve those information and to respect them, and to not communicate them and give them to people that should not have them. Again, that's more a code for the work on itself. But if we look at the last 2, that it's more for behaviors between employees. So they have to support each other. The employees are expected to do their best to create a workplace that is free from harassment, intimidation, bias, and discrimination. So even if there's competition within the workplace at Google, competition of an employee would want to bring something more, something new to the table. Another employee will want to do the same, will want to do better. So that's a little competition, but that's good competition. Google wants their employees to support each other, to support each and every one's work. With that, working for Google and going to work will be fun, because you'll know that you will have a friendly environment of each person will support themselves to do the best they can. And that's what Google wants, and that's why they've put it into their code of conduct. And the last point that I've made is harassment, discrimination, and bullying. Obviously, like every company should do, Google prohibits harassment, discrimination, and bullying, and recommend its employees to report any misconduct. So they don't want any type of workplace deviance, and morally the interpersonal deviances like harassment, physical aggression, verbal abuse. They don't want that. They want a very friendly work environment, effective and efficient one, and it shows it. Everyone knows that every employees are very efficient, productive, and they love to work for Google. So their code of conduct is doing well with that. And also, they recommend their employees to report any misconduct. So if you're a whistleblower, If you see someone doing any misconduct, if you are victim of any misconduct, Google recommends you to report it. So you won't be penalized for that. So that makes Google one step ahead of other companies, because we all know that whistleblowing or reporting any misconduct can make a stop in your career in this company, or just make people look over you and just don't appreciate you because you reported any unbehavior activities. Google have a program to report it, so employees should do it. They're encouraged to do it. No penalties for that because they have done nothing wrong. They're just doing the right thing, and that's why Google is a very great place to work on. And for social responsibility, well, Google has implemented something which is called Google Green, which is an effort to reduce the waste of resources and to use their resources more properly and efficiently. So that's one of their way to support the environment and to have a great social responsibility. They also promote supports renewable power. And just to show that Google is very good at social responsibility, they has been ranked at the top for socially responsible companies more than once. The earlier that I remember is 2015. They've been ranked at the top of the list of being the best company for social responsibility. So that shows that they are not only focusing on the benefits and on the good working environment at Google with the managers, but they're also focusing on social responsibility. So if we conclude, Google, well, they mainly focus on the interpersonal functions and skills of the managers, such as leading. They has implemented a strict code of conduct to ensure that their employees work ethically and professionally, that they report any misconduct and won't be penalized in doing so. And they are very socially oriented, with Google Green in a numerous #1 spot in the rankings of the most socially responsible companies. So that's what covers for this video, the chapter 1 and chapter 3 of management textbook of management functions and managers' roles, and the ethics and social responsibility portion of management. I hope you enjoyed this little video with a PowerPoint, giving a bit of theory and a bit of interlinking with the real world and real companies such as Google. And I'll see you next time for a second video project.